Everyone, this is Kim with Abundant Life Tarot, and it is February favorites time, Feb Faves, as I've been lovingly calling it all day today. So let's get started. We've got a few things to cover here. So I want to first start out with some shout outs. I have my little notepad right here, the things that were my favorites. And first up for shout outs, I have 3 of them. And the one that I want to talk about first is Oya's Girl, or Queen Aset. And she is phenomenal. You have to check her out. She routinely comes into my shout outs because she's amazing. I love her videos. Every time I watch them, I am like transported into her world. And it's educational. It's entertaining. It's just magical. And I highly encourage you, if you don't know about her, to definitely check her out. But specifically, she was discussing the Hoodoo Tarot. Many of the decks that she's into, I'm definitely into. So I was able to see her, I believe it's her unboxing or review or deck reveal, if you will, of the Hoodoo Tarot, because she was able to get it early on and well before I got my copy. So I was able to watch it and it was amazing. So I'm putting a link to that video because that was enjoyable for me. So putting a link in the description box. The next shout out I want to talk about is Boho Tarot. So I must have been sleeping on Boho Tarot for a minute, but I adore that YouTube channel. I have been binge watching all of the videos. Okay. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Boho Tarot, I'm still totally watching all of the videos, and I don't know, it just makes me happy. That channel makes me happy. So you got to check it out. And then lastly, also a regular in my shout outs, is Havana of Sparkle Divine. I love her energy. I love the way she edits her videos. I love the way it's just beautiful, just radiant beauty, just all the time. And talking about things that I want to talk about and hear about, and has the best decks. Just amazing energy, lovely woman. And we are from the same town. So that also makes it special for me to watch her. I'm like, oh, yay, So anyways, those are my shout outs. I'm getting back into watching YouTube again, and that's been enjoyable. I've been kind of taking a step back of recording all the time and actually kind of going back to being a consumer of YouTube versus one who's always heavy content. I still have a lot of content that I've created and want to continue to create, but it is enjoyable to sometimes just sit back and binge on your favorite YouTuber as opposed to having to create the videos. So there's that. Let's talk about some random goodies. Random goodies. My first random goodie that I'm excited about is my caged necklace. And let me see if I can get close. This you can lift up and you can take out the stone. I'm not going to take it out because I've got my favorite labradorite stone in there. But I have to sometimes, I wear these out. I buy them from a lady in Australia on Etsy, and I will try to remember. And if you all are interested, definitely let me know. If I don't remember, remind me if you want it. I'm trying to remember to put the link in the description. She makes these lovely cage necklaces, and you can buy them in, probably many an Etsy seller, but hers is quality and lasts a long time. But eventually, I've tried many different ones, many different types of material. I wear them out because I wear them every single day. I wear it every single day. And I put my favorite crystal, usually tumbled, but you could have a rough piece if you want it, in here. And this is a rather large stone, and I wear it, and that's my thing. So it's one of my favorites. I got it got shipped at the top of the month, at the top of February. Sorry, I hit the mic there. And I was happy that it, what was I going to say? It came. And I've been wearing it every day ever since. Hold on, I need to take a sip. There's a frog in my throat. Okay. Next favorite is my magnifying glass. I am so extra, you guys. Okay, just so extra. But I think I'm starting to go through this phase where I may need reading glasses, and I'm not too keen on that at the moment. It's like, whatever. But I don't know who. Maybe it was Simon from the Hermit's Cave. I don't know who, but I think I saw a magnifying glass. And then someone in one of the Facebook groups, tarot Facebook groups, had a magnifying glass. And so I was like, you know what? I want to be able to sometimes get to the nitty gritty of a card and really focus in and not have to wear reading glasses. And I love it. So I use this, actually I keep it on my table, and sometimes I'm like, okay, I want to look into it, look closely at this particular card and see particular details that I hadn't paid attention to before. This depth year has allowed me to really dive into the decks that I do have in a way that I had not been able to do before. And also to get a little clearer on the decks that I haven't been really working with, and being okay with getting ready to move those decks on as well. So it's been a beautiful time. And to honor that, more so than anything, I got this little magnifying glass, because it's like, okay, I'm getting closely looking at different things in a new light, a new perspective, expanding things. And so I love my magnifying glass. I use it, I sometimes just like the way it looks on my reading tables. I have like 3 reading tables in my house now. That's another favorite. My reading table options makes me happy. So, I just keep this. This isn't what I'm busting out in client readings, by the way. This is just for my own, like, looking at cards in more of a collector's look at my cards. And also if I am journaling and doing some work with the cards that way, I might pull this out and look at a card in more depth. So it's not like, oh, here I'm busting out, like doing like this, you know, with the clients. It's not that at all. It's just a little nod to something I'm currently experiencing. All right, what else on my randoms? And then finally, my last random that I meant to talk about last month, but it just, I don't know, I forgot. But I'm not going to forget this month. It is my sprays that I've created, that I made. And one of these days I might sell them. I sold them locally and like at different little sales that I did last year. But now I just use it for myself. And so I have been using this quite a bit. And I put it in this, spray like this. I have the little sprays that are like this, but I always end up having issues with those little pumps. I don't have them on my desk, my table right now. They're in my office / reading room. That's where I do now probably 90% of my readings. And I keep those in there. But here on my main reading table, I keep this one. This one has lavender with, I put lavender with a hint of California white sage and Palo Santo smudge spray. And it smells divine. And I love it. And it's, my husband can't really deal with a lot of smoke. Neither could really my kids. They tend to have more allergy issues. My sons and my husband. My daughter and myself, we don't really have allergy issues. We're blessed that way. But I use this, and sometimes I just want to use it as a pick-me-up. Sometimes my dog Bishop he ended up having an upset stomach, and I thought I was going to be nauseous. I was like, gross, man. So instead of getting out the sprays, we cleaned up this little mess quickly, but I could have used some kind of perfumed spray, but I used this, and this was just exactly what I needed to be able to aside from opening the windows, spraying this just kind of helped neutralize all that funk. And so I have this spray, and then I had this one too. This is just a straight up Palo Santo smudge spray. So this too is also used up quite a bit. And I just shake it up like so and spray. And it has such a nice spray when it's in a bottle like this. So, and with the pump like that, it's just great. I love it. So those are my smudge sprays, and they work when I'm not able to really use smoke. And I do still use smoking, and I won't call it smudge, we'll call it sacred clearing. I still do use incense. I still do use white sage and Palo Santo with the sticks that I have quite a few sticks. So I still do those, but in my confined office space, not so much in the open. Even probably, I think my sister has allergies. My mother-in-law does too. And my sister-in-law. I just really try to be considerate. I do. So this is my way of being considerate. Next up, books. All right, guys. I did not really finish a book this month. I purchased a couple of books, but when I talk about favorites in books, I want to talk about books I've actually consumed and read, not ones that I purchased. That's just 2020 going forward. That's what books are going to be for me. However, I did journal a lot. I have been journaling again. Growing up, I journaled ever since I could write. I have journals going way back to when I was a little girl, and that's just something I enjoy doing. So I have journals. One of the things that I'm journaling, and I'm looking down, you're probably like, what is she looking at? I'm not going to get it up now because I want to move quickly through our items. But I've been journaling about my death year, and I don't just talk about, I'm not buying decks and books and crystals anymore. I don't do that. That's not what because death year is not so much about that. It's about going deep in many of the areas that you hadn't been able to go deep before. And so I could be talking about many different topics, and I've been enjoying journaling again. And it's going to be nice at the end of the year when I do my video discussing what I want to discuss about how I did with my death year. It'll be easy for me to kind of go through and pull out some highlights or some things I want to talk about because I've been journaling and really just enjoying it. I've also been using, and I will show you this, I'm going to pull this out. I've been actively using the Moonology Diary 2020 by Yasmin Boland. She created the Moonology Oracle. She also has the book Moonology, but I bought 2019s and I didn't use it like I should. But this year I've been using this and it's been quite enjoyable. I put a little list of how I plan to use this deck, and my short list here says daily gratitude note, thought of the day, special quotes, or oracle or tarot message. And that's what I use, a combination of them all. So there's my bookmark. I've been writing the one card draws that I do on an app. I have a tarot app, and so the card that comes up for the day might be the one that I highlight, like I had on the 24th, the Six of Wands, and it really was a Six of Wands kind of day. So at the end of the day, it was nice to see that, you know, like in the top of the morning, that's the card I drew. And then by the end of the evening, I was able to kind of sit back and kind of talk about how that came about. Or sometimes I'll put a fun quote, or sometimes I'll put like, something I'm grateful for even. And sometimes I may forget. I rarely forget. Actually, I've been writing every single day. And what's cool is that she works with the houses. Like she does each start of the month, she has a cool little like, bit about, okay, so what are we going, so let me show you, for example. So March, I'm just going to read an excerpt of what she says. This month brings the new moon in Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, which is a kind of astrological new year. As such, it's a time to make the most of. If you've already fallen off the bandwagon when it comes to your aims and resolutions for 2020, this is the ideal time to start all over again. Of course, you can start over every day, but this is an especially powerful time energetically to do that. Since you're a moon lover, use the Aries energies to commit to working with the moon every month for the next 12 months, too. It really will change your life for the better. As March begins, remember to think about what you're grateful for in your life and decide on your biggest aim for the month ahead. And things to do this month. Number 1, write a list of what you want to achieve in 2020. Number 2, take inspired action a few days after March 10th when Mercury retrograde ends. And number 3, see what life lessons are coming your way as Saturn leaves Capricorn and dips his toes into Aquarius. And then over here, she has the super full moons in Virgos, and then the new moon in Aries. And then it's all charted out here. You can see that. Can you see that? And then we go into, so after that, the super full moon in Virgo bring on the first super moon of 2020. She does a whole piece on this even and talk about what this lunation means for you. And it says, find your rising sign in this list to discover which house the moon is in for you. And then you go to the page, which is page 16 of this book. And my rising sign is Aries. So then I would go, so this month she has the 6th house listed for Aries. So I am going to just, stop there. So yeah, this book has been quite amazing to work with every day. It's just quick little messages, gratitude messages, memories, things that pop up that I've been enjoying doing. So yeah, I'm happy I have it. And I also have been using my planner. I'm not going to pull it up. I've been pulling it out every month for my favorites. It's going to stay a favorite. So far this year, I've been loving it. It really has been helping me to feel more accomplished, to get things done, to really figure out what my real priorities are, and I'm grateful for it. But this is just a fun thing to have and work with, and I love the texture of it. I hope that Yasmin comes out with a 2021 version, because this has been quite enjoyable for me for this year and last year. All right, so let's talk crystals. I almost forgot about the crystals. So this month I was working with Amethyst and Lepidolite, and both are like purplish crystals, and Amethyst is actually my birthstone. I am born in February 10th. I'm an Aquarius, and my birthstone is Amethyst, so I felt drawn to working with it. I'm also going through a lot of changes as it relates to my career life. And so Lepidolite has been very soothing and helpful as I make my big transitions in my actual work life and in my actual like business. So it's been an interesting time, and Amethyst and Lepidolite are wonderful tools for me, as well as Labradorite, in helping me with my psychic intuitive tapping into those abilities there, I should say. And so here's some of the pieces of my Lepidolite. This is a very rough piece of Lepidolite, but I love it so much. It sits on my main reading table. It's very rough, this is a good, but I love it so much. It feels good in my hands. And that's the shiny part that we know so well, that is Lepidolite. I actually have a polished piece, but I don't remember where I put it. It must be in my other reading spot. Here's another piece. This is my first piece of Lepidolite. It's flat, thin, little plate. So that's my first piece. And then I have another piece. This is my most recent edition, I think. I can't remember out of the two when I bought one versus the other. But this is my most favorite piece. There, and then here. If it can flake off a little bit, but just love this so much. That's my Lepidolite. Do I have any other pieces? I think that's it for my I have a tumbled piece, but I don't know where I put it. And then here's my chunk of amethyst. Just, there's that. And that piece. And this one usually hangs out on my reading table, that the space that you guys normally see my videos as of late. This would be on that table, this piece here. But I have it visiting with us today, and then also visiting with us today is my very first piece of amethyst that I ever had added to my collection years ago. I don't even remember how or where I got it, because I got so many stones now that it's all becoming a blur. It's funny how that is. I should have kept track of it like I did my decks. So I've been really just called to look at my beautiful purple crystals, which is my Lepidolite and my Auralite too, but my amethyst. So those are my crystals. Now let's move on to the decks. This is my favorite part of favorites. So let's get going on that. Now, the first decks we're going to talk about are Oracle, and the very first one I've talked about not too long ago, but I feel like it's worth mentioning again, and that is Colette Baron-Reid's The Enchanted Mat. I have a few of her decks, quite a few of her Oracle decks, and this is the one that I come back to time and time again. And I don't usually use it for readings for others. I usually use it for readings for my weekly draws for myself. And I just keep it on my altar space in my bedroom. And that's how I've been using it for like the last several months. Here are the backs. They're gilded, but as you can see, they're well loved. And the gilding is fading away. Well, who cares, you know? It's glossy. And I really enjoy this deck. I have a couple of the cards that were on my altar space for the week here. Here's Encouragement, and here's Follow the Leader. These were cards that jumped and were on my readings, you know, my, not reading table, but my altar space. Here's the Sacred Pool. I don't know why I resonate with this deck the most so far of Colette Baron-Reid's. I have some of her later edition decks, the ones that have recently come out, and those are gorgeous. But I'm just still called to use this one. And I'm not quite sure why. Here's Mountain. But it's a great deck. And it works well for readings for others. It's just for me at this time, I've found that it works best for my weekly readings that I do for myself. It's like my church. It's stuck in the mud. So once a week on Sundays, I, maybe do some deeper journaling, and I may pull the cards, and I often, actually as of late, it's been this deck for several months now. And yeah, I really enjoy it. I really, really do. It's quite beautiful. So yeah, that's the Colette Baron Reads, the Enchanted Map Oracle. And yeah, it's a great little deck. And I'll probably be pulling from it later today or tomorrow for my weekly draw. Okay, the next oracle we're going to talk about is the Oracle of Oddities, and I have the first, second, and third edition combined. I have them in a pouch here because I have them as a combined deck. Okay, this is weird, and I think I've mentioned this before. I always end up separating the chakra cards. I don't know why I don't want them in my deck for some reason. I don't understand. It was like something kept intuitively telling me, take them out and just work with the deck without them because you don't seem to like them very much. So I did. I took them all out and I just set them aside. And now I really, really connect with the Oracle of Oddities. Here's the backs. And I also use this deck with the Antique Anatomy, but I owned the Oracle of Oddities long before I did this Antique Anatomy, which is, the Antique Anatomy is the mass market edition of, I forgot the name of it. I don't know if it's the same name, but here is Spirit, here's Passion. This Oracle of Oddities also had a tarot deck, and I can't think of the name, but the Antique Anatomy is the mass market edition of that tarot deck that I have now, which we'll talk more about in a minute. Sorrow. I love that card. Separation. I now have the most resonant readings with it, both for myself and for others. And it goes with many, many of my tarot decks and other oracle decks quite nicely. And I enjoy using it for all sorts of kind of readings. Love readings, life purpose readings, career readings, general life readings. Doesn't matter. This is a great deck for any of those readings. Once I took out the chakra ones, for some reason, it just, when one would come up, it would repel me. Like, I don't understand why. I don't understand what that's about. But sometimes you have to do these things with your decks to kind of make it work for you. And rare a deck that I don't use all the cards. I always use all the cards in the deck, because even though, like in my tarot decks, the extra cards that a creator makes, like for example in the Slow Tarot they have the Atonement card, I use that in my tarot deck, whereas some people will not use the extra cards. But the chakra cards will not in my Oracle of Oddities. Now that those are, I mean, it's legit. Now that they are omitted, I enjoy my deck so much more. Imagine that. All right, so that is the Oracle of Oddities, first, second, and third edition, and combined. Let me move these. And then finally, for my last Oracle to talk about, it is the Pathfinder Oracle, created by Andrew Schwartz. And I also own the Earthbound Oracle by the same creator. I adore this deck. I use this deck for my weekly readings, and oh my gosh, the readings I just adore. I adore working with this deck. It is a square deck, so it's a little different than your traditional size, you know, tarot decks, or your round decks, even any shape really. And so you can read it like a diamond or a square, I guess. I read it diamond, in the diamond shape like this. And these are the backs. And because they're square, they're a little on the difficulty to shuffle scale. Circle decks for me are the hardest to shuffle, and this would be a midpoint because it's not your traditional shape. But don't let that deter you. It does come with a guidebook, this little white book here. which is good. It's a good basis to start, but you can really use this deck intuitively, and I encourage you to try to do so if you can. You know, you can familiarize yourself with some of the meanings here if you get stumped, or you could keep this handy if you're doing a reading and you're not quite sure how to use the cards. Like if you get the negative in coyote, you may be like, oh, what does that mean? You can consult the guidebook and figure what that is. And here is what I mean by, okay, in the negative. So here would be the negative. This is active, right? Oh, wait. Passive. I'm sorry. That's passive with the, so let me start over. This is positive. This is the negative. This is active with the little dot right there. And this is passive. And so you can, you know, however they, and I shuffle them. Intentionally with them put like being able to possibly have different sides that might come about. Let me show you. The colors are so vibrant and so gorgeous. And I do think that a good run of the guidebook, really familiarizing yourself with what some of the meanings are, so you kind of get a flow of the cards and how they go. But once you do, you can use it intuitively, beautifully enough. And the readings are just going to be so profound. And I use it, like whatever comes up, if it's active or passive, or if there's like 4 cards or 3 cards that I pull, and all of the cards are in active mode. That's a big message about what you're going to be doing in the week, or if it's in passive, or you have a combination. So you can even use the cards in that way. Here's snake. And this is a fun one, UFO. Okay. All right, everyone. So let's get to tarot decks. Tarot. Love me some tarot. We've got the New Era Elements by Eleanor F. Piper, PhD. This is produced by US Games. And I adore this deck so much. It is like in a sepia color. And here it's like the tarot size deck. Here are the backs. Here's like that. Oh, let's see. Sorry. Mother of Earth, which is traditionally, I'm sorry, not Mother of Earth, Mother of Water, traditionally Queen of Cups, and Nine of Earth, Gain. Six of Air, Knowledge, like the Voyager. I really like that depiction of the Six of Swords. Here's the Wheel of Fortune. Strength. Here's the Tower. Oh my gosh. It's intense. So I definitely enjoy using this reading, or using this in readings that I do for the collective, like when I'm doing my Rebel Soul readings, or readings for myself even. From time to time, I may be called to use this for a client reading, but usually that's not the purpose of how I use this deck. Oh, let me show you, daughter. me show you a couple more, actually. Here's the moon. I love this moon card. And then, let's see, for fire. Fire tamer. So yeah, that's the new Air Elements. I still adore this deck. I don't talk about it a lot, but that is because I use it for specific purposes, and it's not always a purpose that I'm doing every single day, or, you know, so, but it's still a great deck, and people probably connect with it and use it in readings all the time. We just don't really see a lot of chatter about it. So here's my chattering about it. All right, the next tarot deck I want to talk about, and I briefly mentioned it before, is the Antique Anatomy Tarot. And this, to me, is the companion deck to my Oracle of Oddities. Here's the guide, the box, I should say. Really gorgeous box. Gorgeous guidebook. I mean, let's see. Just gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Here's the deck. It's pretty thin, and I know a lot of people are not a fan of the cardstock, but honestly, I've used this deck quite a few times since I purchased it, whenever it was released, and I still have a good time, good readings from it, and it's still in really good condition. Look at the backs. There's no real chipping on the backs. Yeah, it's very thin cardstock, but it shovels like a dream. It's not, it's pippish in terms of, you've got this is the 3 of blades or 3 of swords traditionally. But I love this deck so much. I love the readings that I get from it. This is another deck that I use for readings for the collective, like in my Rebel Soul energetic readings. But I also, at times, will use this deck for some of my more life purposey kind of readings. It works really well for that purpose, but it also works well for career readings too. I haven't used it so much in love readings yet, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to try it in the future. We'll see. Sorry, the lighting is getting... I tried to open up all the blinds. It's like overcast today, so I don't know. The lighting is not such that I'm able to really show the cards like I want to. I know I don't normally get to sit here at my table, my favorite reading table, my original old school table. But my husband went to work on a Saturday, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. But then he comes home, and I've been having to like work around having, noises and things. Because this room is it's in the heart of the house, honestly. Which used to work for me back in the day, but not so much anymore. Not so much. Here's the tower. Okay. Okay, and... last but not least, we got one more to talk about, and then we'll wrap it all up here. Because I always end up going so long on these things. So the last tarot deck I want to talk about is the Luna Soul Tarot. I don't have it in its box. This is it. It's not quite like the backs aren't, you can tell that it's in reverse, but that's really okay. Here is the 6 of Swords. Here's Temperance. I adore this as my Rider-Waite-Smith deck that I really resonate with. The palette is so soft, so beautiful. I use this deck, honestly, for my... I use this not all the time, I would say. It used to be where it was always my deck that I went to, but now not so much. But when I do use it, it is for hotline calls. And for some reason, I just have it's the easiest of times when I'm needing to do a quick reading for someone. And this is the deck for it, that purpose. But it used to be my deck that I would use for my love readings. And my love reading decks change over time just depending on what I need from the tarot decks. And I'm okay with that change. I'm okay with the changing needs of my reading practice. But this may come back. And sometimes it does, but it definitely is a deck I primarily use for client readings or hotline readings. I sometimes use it for myself, but rarely. It's only because it's very Rider-Waite-Smith, which I love, you know, when I'm doing my tarot readings for clients. It's a new take on what they recognize as their traditional Rider-Waite-Smith tarot. And I think they appreciate the changes, as do I. And that's why it works really well. But they can, you know, for some who may even know some of the cards, they could still be able to see the Rider-Waite-Smith in the depictions and be like, oh, I know that card. Oh, you know, like, well, we probably already went past like the Death, for example. But, you know, here's the Three of Swords, the traditional Three of Swords, but in a prettier palette, you know, color palette, I should say. So let's see. Oh, here's the Devil. One more. Love that Devil. So it's still a deck I gravitate towards. I actually did use it in a love reading, I believe, for around Valentine's Day. And it read beautifully, just like it did last year when I used it primarily in my love readings. Here's the little guidebook. And then finally, quick mentions. I have been going into a deep dive with the Herb Crafters Tarot. This is going to take a while to get through, but I've got a tarot study group going on now on my website and on my YouTube channel and on my Facebook group, Abundant Life Tarot Facebook group, I should say. And we've been exploring this, the Herb Crafters Tarot, and I'm enjoying it. It's making me really enjoy this deck even that much more. And it's, I think at the end of all of this, what's going to be cool is being able to use this deck and really being able to use it and understand it and connect to it in my own personal way. That's why I'm enjoying doing the study group. So check it out. You know, it's available here on YouTube, and I'm posting videos constantly. And we just started. I'm moving first through the majors and then through the minors. And then we will maybe I might do a deck interview with it. I might work with it exclusively for a while on my channel. I don't know what will come of that. I'm working that out. But this has been nice getting. So it's part of my favorites in the sense that this month I've started really deep diving into it, but it's more of an honorable mention because it's got its own tarot study group video series going on. And then after we're done, and this is going to take a little while to get through because I'm really deep diving into each of the cards. The Herb Crafters Tarot is the first one for 2020. And then following that, hopefully I want to have 2 decks of focus this year. And then the Hoodoo Tarot will be the second deck that I do for a tarot study group. That is the second deck I plan to work with. And then after that, we will do maybe a vote to see what deck we'll focus on next. But these are the 2 decks that I plan to focus on quite a bit this year in 2020 in the form of tarot study groups. And, you know, I'm excited about what's to come with that. All right, guys, that's it for my favorites. Of course, I'm long-winded. Of course, there's lots to cover, but I'm so happy you joined me. It's always so much fun to sit here, chit-chat with you about what I enjoyed in the month, hear from you what you enjoyed in your month, and yeah, until we meet again next month. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. So much love to you, really and truly. Much love and so many blessings. Bye.